All right. Mentioned that the president is meeting with Japan today to talk about the bilateral deal. The Secretary of Treasury has made clear that countries like Japan and Korea and India are top of mind as they try to strike these bilateral deals. Today, two news organizations, 105, the Wall Street Journal and the Irish Times, both reporting that the administration's policy that Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, is the architect of, is to get these other allied countries, including the EU, to be in concert with the United States to get a good trade deal from the United States in return for not letting China be a close ally, to keep people from moving Chinese plants to other countries, to get around the tariffs, not to invest in China, to basically try to isolate China, to pressure them to play fair on international trade. This seems like the kind of thing that Dan and others have been calling for, to say, create a coalition of the willing to encircle China and get them to back down. That seems good. But then I read the South China Morning Post, courtesy of my friend John Ellis, who writes a great Substack. This presents a very different reality, and one that would make it seem difficult to execute the Bessent plan. Faced with Donald Trump's hostility, is the European Union pivoting towards China? The headline makes it seem like it's speculative, but then you get into the story, and here's some things that aren't speculative. For instance, the Trump shock has led the European Union's top leaders to forgo protocol by planning to hold a summit with Chinese President Xi in Beijing in early July, even though it's Europe's turn to host. So forget where it is. Are the EU's top leaders really going to go to Beijing this summer to talk about economic tie-up? That seems insane. If the goal of the United States is to partner with the EU and other allies against China, negotiations over ending a bitter dispute over EU tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles have been restarted. Imagine if China, as it dominates some other countries already with with electric vehicles, becomes the dominant seller of electric vehicles in Europe. That would be bad. Even the bloc's top China hawk, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, has adopted a softer tone in several speeches and on a call with Xi. Yeah. So she's, or not with Xi, but with the premier. I mean, this paints I assume all this is true. The EU seems like they're at least playing footsie with the Chinese, or maybe already in bed with them. Dan, how could the Bessent plan succeed if the EU leaders are going to Beijing this summer? How could it possibly succeed?
Well, I don't think Bessent was leading this 2-3 months ago when all of this kind of started. And I think I go back to the fissures with Europe started with Greenland. It started with Ukraine and NATO and Vance's speech there and the tariffs, and you go on and on. And now that Bessent is in charge, I agree with him. The way to try to kind of encircle China is to build, pull in all the other economic powers, pull in China's neighbors, and squeeze them. But I think the problem is everything else that the administration has done, and it's been written in other papers. Some countries, including Europe, look at us as unstable and unpredictable. And they look at China and they say they are predictable. We can rely on them. We may not like it necessarily what they're doing. And I'll say there's a reason Elon Musk gave an interview a couple of weeks ago talking about an EU free trade zone with the US. He wants to sell Teslas in Europe. So, I mean, I'll be curious to see if Scott Bessent is able to kind of move past all the tough talk from all the other aspects of our government and kind of stick to the bottom line of trade and business. And oh, by the way, if that's the goal, the only way that you're going to do it, I thought we were trying to reshore and open up all the European markets. What he's talking about is going in the opposite direction. What can we give to you guys to play ball with us and not them? It's all over the place. It's changing every hour.
Sean, can't the president get this July meeting canceled?
That'll help. Smack him.
But no? So, I thought about this a lot last night and then into this morning. And the word friendship and allies gets thrown around a lot over the last 3 months. How do you treat your allies? How are they, blah, blah, blah. And I started thinking about this. Let's look at Europe. How have they treated us? They agreed to a partnership in NATO where they agreed to 2% of their GDP to be put towards national defense. They didn't live up to that. They previously sided with China when it came to Huawei computers because they were cheaper. They, at the first sign of a discussion on fairness on trade, run into the arms of China. What kind of a friend, what kind of an ally are they? The second that they have 2 seconds of doubt, they run to China. I mean, this isn't an equal friend. This isn't, hey, which friend do I want to hang out with? If they don't know the difference between good and evil, then it is on them. They are no friend of ours. If at the first sign of some kind of squabble about fairness when it comes to trade, they decide that they want to put their lot in bed with China, that doesn't say much about who they are as a people. And I think we need to think long and hard about our alliances where every time the wind blows the way that they don't like it, they run off to hang out with a dictator that has massive human rights abuses and treats the rest of the world like they want to conquer them. So to me, it's exposed how bad Europe is. They are bad, bad people. And I think J.D. Vance is absolutely right when it comes to dealing with them. This is how they show us how good of a friend and ally they are. They don't want to negotiate. They want to run to China. Good luck. Go have it.